Hi, I am Bimal, founder of Gutsphere. In this episode of our bowel movement tracking masterclass, we are venturing beyond the dinner plate to examine three pivotal lifestyle factors: physical activity, sleep, and substance use, and how they leave their fingerprints on your digestive well being. By the end of this session, you will understand not just that movement, rest, and common habits matter to your gut, but how precisely to interpret their effects through bowel movement tracking. Armed with these insights, you will be empowered to make more informed, personalized choices that can transform your digestive discomfort or comfort and overall health. Sleep and exercise form the foundation of gut friendly lifestyle. But what about those daily indulgences like coffee or a glass of wine? Let's see how substances whisper their own messages through your poop. Think about your daily routine. Maybe it starts with a steaming cup of coffee, involves a glass of wine at dinner, or for some, a cigarette during a break. These habits often feel like small comforts or simple pick-me-ups, but beneath the surface, they can have a profound impact on your digestive system. And here is a kicker. Your bowel movements can offer surprising clues about how these substances shape your gut health. And in this part of our bowel movement tracking masterclass, we are zeroing in on caffeine, alcohol, and smoking. While none of these substances may be strictly, many of us rely on them to cope with stress, socialize, or kickstart our morning. By the end of this section, you will see how tracking your stools can help you understand what's really going on in your gut and inspire healthier choices tailored to your body's needs.
Disclaimer: this information is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making changes to your diet, lifestyle, or treatment plan.
The gut is a finely tuned ecosystem of muscles, nerves, bacteria, and immune cells. It thrives on the balance and consistency. When you introduce substances like caffeine, alcohol, or tobacco, you are adding compounds that can stimulate, irritate, or inflame different parts of the digestive system. Over time, this can change how your gut processes food, absorbs nutrients, and eliminates waste. The results: alterations in stool frequency, consistency, and comfort, all of which you can observe by tracking your bowel movements. Think of your stool as a daily report card. If a certain habit is nudging your gut off track, you might see it reflected as a harder stools, type 1 or type 2 on the Bristol stool chart, and looser stools, type C or type 6 or type 7, or more frequent and urgent bathroom trips. Tracking these patterns alongside your substance use can help pinpoint triggers and guide you toward adjustments that lead to a better gut health. So let us start talking about each lifestyle habit, starting with coffee. Imagine starting your day without that morning coffee. Unthinkable for many people. Caffeine, the active ingredient in coffee and tea, is known to speed things up along in the bathroom department. For some, that's a welcome effect, giving a gentle push to ease constipation. But caffeine can also become a double-edged sword. Too much may irritate your stomach and intestines, leading to urgency or loose stools. So let's understand how caffeine influences digestion. Caffeine is a motility booster. In moderate doses, caffeine can stimulate intestinal contractions, helping to move stool through more efficiently. If you have been struggling with occasional constipation, 1 cup of coffee might help achieve a comfortable type 3 or type 4 stool. And caffeine can cause overstimulation. So too much caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, can cause cramping or loose stools, type 5 or beyond, and may worsen conditions like GERD by increasing acid production. And here is how bowel movement tracking can give you insight. Try cutting your daily coffee intake from 2 cups to 1 or switch to tea for a week. Does reducing caffeine result in fewer urgent bathroom runs or more stable stools? If so, you have confirmed that caffeine levels were tipping your gut off balance. And here is a practical tip for you. If you suspect caffeine is contributing to loose stools or reflex, experiment with timing. Have coffee after a light breakfast rather than first thing in the morning, and track if this prevents overly loose stools. Your logging will reveal whether these tweaks help tame caffeine's wilder side. Next, let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol often plays a role in social gatherings, relaxations, or celebrating the week of a long week. But while your mind may enjoy the unwind, your gut may react differently. Now let us understand how alcohol influences digestion. First, it causes microbiome imbalances. Frequent drinking can shift the balances of gut bacteria, often favoring less beneficial strains. This shift may manifest as irregular bowel habits, from constipation to diarrhea, as your gut struggles to maintain stability. Second, it causes inflammation and irritation. Alcohol can inflame the GI tract, making conditions like IBS or IBD trickier to manage. You might notice more unpredictable stools following a night out or a weekend of heavier drinking. And this is how bowel movement tracking can give you insights. Observe how your gut behaves after reducing alcohol intake for a week or two. Do your stools become more predictable, less urgent, or more comfortable? If yes, that's your body hinting that limiting alcohol helps restore microbial balance and soothe inflammation. And here is a practical tip for you. Try spacing out your drinks or opting for low sugar alcohol options. Pair drinks with food and hydrate well to mitigate the disruptive effects. Tracking will confirm if these strategies help you maintain steadier stools. Now let us talk about another dangerous lifestyle habit: smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes introduce hundreds of chemicals into your body, and your gut lining isn't spared. Smoking can weaken the intestinal barrier, increase acid production, and increase the risk of inflammatory conditions. The result might be irregular stools, flare-ups of Crohn's disease, or more frequent discomfort after meals. Now let us understand how smoking influences digestion. First, it weakens the gut lining. Smoking contributes to a leaky gut, allowing toxin to pass more easily into bloodstream. This may translate into more variable stool patterns. Some days harder, some days looser, as your gut struggles to maintain equilibrium. It increases the risk of inflammatory conditions. Smoking is strongly associated with higher rates of Crohn's disease flare-ups. If you have Crohn's, you might notice that periods when you smoke more correspond to more severe symptoms and stool irregularities. And this is how bowel movement tracking can give you insight of if reducing smoking, even by a few cigarettes per day, leads to a fewer episodes of discomfort or more stable stool patterns. That's clear data that your gut thrives better with less exposure to tobacco. If quitting feels daunting, start by cutting down and tracking your any improvements. Each time your records show more consistent, less symptomatic stools, it can serve as a motivation to reduce even further. Now that we have dissected how caffeine, alcohol, and smoking impacts digestion, how do we put all this into practice? First, create a baseline. For 1 week, keep a simple log of your bowel movements. Record stool frequency, consistency, and discomfort. Note your daily caffeine intake, how many alcoholic drinks you have, and whether you smoked. Second, make one change at a time. If you suspect caffeine is an issue, try cutting back on one coffee and track what happens over the next week. If alcohol seems to trigger loose stools after social gatherings, try limiting yourself to a single drink or skipping alcohol on certain days. Third, observe patterns and correlations. If stools become firmer and more regular after reducing alcohol, you have concrete proof that your gut prefers moderation. If cutting back on cigarettes leads to fewer flare-ups, that's a validation for changing that habit. And fourth, refine over time. With continuous tracking, you can fine-tune these habits to reach a point where you enjoy some indulgences without throwing your gut off balance. The beauty of this process is personalization. What works for someone else may not suit you, but your bowel movements will guide you. While caffeine, alcohol, and smoking are key lifestyle factors, remember they interact with everything else you do: your diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management. By controlling these substances and tracking how your gut responds, you will have a clearer picture of what truly supports your digestive well-being. In future episodes, we'll delve into stress, emotional well-being, and their profound influence on gut health. For now, know that your bowel movements speak volumes about how your daily habits shape digestion, and armed with data from tracking, you can reshape these habits to foster a healthier gut environment. Your favorite morning latte, that relaxing glass of wine, or long-held smoking habit. Each sense ripples through your gut. Sometimes those ripples are manageable. Other times they churn up trouble. By taking note of how these substances affect your stools, you are not powerless. Instead, you have knowledge to make smarter choices. Remember, you don't have to give up everything you enjoy. You just need to understand how your body responds. Your bowel movements will let you know if cutting back on coffee tames urgency, if limiting alcohol restores consistency, or if reducing smoking eases discomfort. With ease adjustments, you're tuning your gut environment, one small decision at a time. Now we have connected exercise, sleep, and substance use to bowel movement patterns. Let's bring it all together and see what the big picture looks like. Over the course of this episode, we have seen that your gut health isn't determined by diet alone. It's also shaped by how you move, how you sleep, and the everyday substances you rely on. Maybe a short evening walk, a consistent bedtime, or cutting back on the second cup of coffee. Your stools will reflect these changes, confirming what truly supports your gut's natural rhythm and what throws it off track. But how do you gather and interpret all this data? That's where tracking becomes your greatest ally. Instead of hoping something works, you will know because the evidence is right there in your daily logs. In our next episode, we'll dive into the why and how of tracking your bowel movements. We will explore the tangible benefits, highlight the latest research, and introduce practical methods, including digital solutions like the Gutsphere's GI Health Pilot, which is designed to make this process simple, insightful, and accessible to everyone. If you are ready to turn knowledge into action, consider joining the waitlist for the Gutsphere GI Health Copilot at www.gutsphere.com. It's a tool designed to streamline your tracking, provide meaningful feedback, and help you tailor your habits for better gut health. After all, your gut's voice is always speaking through your bowel movements. Start listening, start tracking, and together we can move towards a healthier, more balanced future. Stay tuned for the next episode where we will fully empower you with the tools to track, interpret, and leverage these patterns to optimize your digestion and your overall well being.